Hello, and welcome to my second live video on Facebook. I'm still getting used to the whole format. This video will be on playback, and also I shall upload it to YouTube later as well. But if you're managing to watch live, hello and welcome to my little video. Now I was going to do it this evening, but I thought I just had so much inspiration about talking about the subject of this that I wanted to start now. So this video is called Rooted Self-Love, Spiritual Bypassing and Emotional Literacy. Will we go into all of this now? I don't know if I have time. I've written a list and this could be several videos. It just does depend. It does depend on how much I get through, how much I waffle on, and also maybe if there's any questions that come up. So this is something that is a huge subject and could be a whole series of videos, and probably will be. So I wanted to start doing some videos on self-care and self-love, and I know there are some fabulous and really encouraging resources out there about self-care and self-love. Kelly Ann Maddox does an amazing Self-Love September. If you have not seen that, I'd urge you to go to our YouTube channel and check out the Self-Love September resources. Also, there's really huge amounts of really good videos on YouTube from different channels about dealing with lots of different stuff. And self-love comes up. Gala Darling does a Radical Self-Love book. And I've been watching a lot of the Spartan life coaches, Richard Grannon's stuff, which I think is really, really fabulous. If you like a little bit tough but compassionate explanation of what's going on, especially with therapy and dealing with your brain and your mind and your confidence. So I will put links to all these different places below. And also my friend Verity Lou's got a great blog on her Soulfire Woman blog about self-love and self-care as well. So I will share all the resources, because there's a lot out there about self-care and self-love, but I still feel like we're just touching the surface about what it means to actually take care of ourselves, to actually nurture and honour ourselves and structure our lives in a way where we are going to free ourselves or heal old patterns which have kept us in a hamster wheel. So this is really important. This is the key for me talking about this. Is self-love sounds very nice, doesn't it? Having a bath with some nice candles, or kind of giving yourself some time, and that is a definite part of self-love, but it's kind of the cherry on the top. So it's like planting, if you're just doing the odd thing for self-love, like once in a while just doing a nice treat for yourself, which is fabulous and I totally encourage, it can be, but without looking at the roots of the matter, without looking at what actually is going on, it can be like planting a tree on a plastic surface. If we can't root ourselves, if we can't root positive new mindsets and new behaviours in the very core of our being, then we'll have maybe a few days, a few weeks of feeling positive about something, but the rain comes, the first storm comes, it washes away because there's nothing holding us there. So in these videos, because there is going to be more than one about self-care and self-love, what I want to look at is really getting to the core, getting to the heart of being able to structure our attitudes towards ourselves and our behaviours towards ourselves in a new, positive and healthy, healing way. But before I really get started with this, I'm just going to say that I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, and I can't advise or give any guidance on serious problems. But what I can do is say that if you are struggling in any way, there is only strength to be gained from going to get help. Saying, I can't do this on my own. I'm struggling with this, and I would like someone else's opinion, someone else's help, someone else's guidance, someone else's therapy. There is only strength in saying that. If we hide away and say, I'll just deal with it on my own, we're not allowing ourselves any healing, and we're kind of perpetuating a drama or a situation. But finding the courage to say, I could do with some help with this, I could do with talking to someone, I could do with getting that therapy, getting that counselling, going to the doctors, making that appointment. It's the part of self-love that no one wants to talk about. We want to talk about the baths and the new dress, but actually getting those appointments booked in looking at the bank balance, talking to a therapist. That is the real work and the real core of self-love, because you're saying you deserve it, and you're saying that I am going to put that work in to really clear out. And now it's springtime, spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere anyway. What a perfect time to clear out our thoughts and our feelings about ourselves. And also in the autumn equinox, for you guys in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a time of clearing out and going into the shadow time of the year. So I've got a few things I want to talk about today, and as I said, I may do another video about this. I'll probably go on a lot. Do feel free to put any questions about self-care, self-love, or any experiences you've had in the box here, and I will do my very best to have a look at them today. So what I wanted to do is look at a few pointers on how to really root your self-care, self-love practice into your day-to-day life, so it isn't going to be washed away when the first storm comes along. So it isn't going to be confusing because one minute you feel great, one minute you don't. So it becomes more of a habit. And so the first thing I want to do is saying you deserve love. You deserve love because you are here. You deserve love because you're breathing, because you've turned up, because you're here. There's no I deserve love if. You deserve love. So that's the first thing that can trigger us a little bit, because we maybe have a lot of issues around that. So just having that as a root, that you deserve love. You deserve to be filled with love. And the way to get around a lot of the triggers that we might have, or the issues we might have, is looking at the ways in which we talk to ourselves. So the first point really, I mean, the baseline of everything is you deserve love. And every time you go into a whirlwind of stress or drama, you don't have to do anything to be loved. You have to be better, thinner, new dress, new job, new partner, new house. You don't need that to be loved. You are deserving of love, period, full stop, open vessel to be filled with love. Yes, please, and thank you. But what I wanted to start with was talking about how we use language within our own minds and how we ignore language when it comes to our issues and our problems. So this might be the main thing I talk about today: emotional vocabulary, the literacy of understanding ourselves, understanding what's going on with us. So this is something that I've got from the Spartan Life Coach channel as an idea to work with, because I really resonated with the fact that we only have sometimes very small amounts of words for going into how we feel. So someone can tell you, I'm all right, I'm not too good, I don't feel too great, actually feeling anxious, feeling depressed, feeling down, feeling sad, I'm okay, I'm all right. That's kind of not enough. That doesn't actually tell you anything. It doesn't tell you anything. It tells you one thing, it tells you that you're feeling in a bad place, but we can't. I just feel that until we put more vocabulary into understanding our own emotions and time and love into really taking a moment to go, how do I actually feel? What is this? So for example, say you're feeling sad or you're feeling anxious. Let's say anxious, feeling anxious. What has triggered that anxiety? Well, I've got a meeting today and I'm nervous about it. Okay. Why are you nervous about it? Because the guy I'm meeting makes me feel quite intimidated, or I feel quite stressed when I'm with him. And we can go through why these things are going on, but the core of the issue is that we are terrified of something. We are feeling that maybe we're being abandoned, maybe being thrown out of a situation, maybe we're not being heard, and this could really trigger lots of feelings from maybe childhood or another strong situation in our life where we didn't feel heard. So it can be really good to say, okay, I feel anxious about this because I feel quite shameful, and that shame is overwhelming me because it makes me feel like this reminds me of an issue that I was going through another time. So then we've gone from just feeling a bit anxious to, okay, I'm feeling quite embarrassed, I'm feeling shame, I'm feeling okay, and that's reminding me of a time when I felt powerless. So there we have a lot more vocabulary for how you're actually feeling. And when you've witnessed it, like when you've actually gone, okay, that's how I'm feeling, and it's from A, B, and C, your brain can stop trying to tell you it. So it's like it gets stronger and stronger sometimes because we're really not paying attention. We're going, yeah, I'm anxious, but I've got to get over it. Or I'm feeling heartbroken, but I've got to get over it. It's, if we're feeling heartbroken, obviously that is its own level of grief, but we have a lot of grief to deal with. We have a lot of disappointed dreams to let go of. We have our hearts to heal, and maybe the feeling of not being good enough, or maybe abandoned again, and all these feelings are coming up to be dealt with. And if we're just saying, I've just got to get over it, or I'm just feeling this, then we're not honouring our own feelings, we're not giving them the space to breathe. And the problem is, when we do that, they don't go away. They just bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, and they can cause huge anxiety, they can cause depression. When we just, when we haven't dealt with these feelings, they'll just well up. So my challenge for you guys today, regarding emotional vocab, regarding emotional literacy, regarding putting words to how you're feeling, is think about how you're feeling today, or think about a time recently when things have been quite intense for you emotionally, and maybe put some words to that, maybe put some words to those feelings. So maybe recently you felt, or today you felt a bit nervous about something. Look at why you felt nervous, and maybe put 3 to 5 describing words for it. Not what you think is going on, not what you'd like to happen, but actually what you felt about a certain situation. The more we discover, the more we dig into our emotions, the more we understand our path, ourselves, our life, and where we're going and where we're coming from. And it can be so freeing. We can feel very flattened, overwhelmed. The anxiety creeps in, the lack of emotions creep in because we've pushed it all down and we haven't looked at it. And we're terrified of looking at things sometimes emotionally. I'll come back to that in a second. But if we actually start maybe with the lesser emotions, exploring them, looking at describing them, saying, I'm just feeling bad, isn't going to cut the mustard when we are getting really overwhelmed by life. By saying, I feel bad because A, B, C, and D, and I feel this, 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 and this, it's such a relief. And when we look at those feelings in the eye, they lose a lot of their power. They lose a lot of their strength. And what you gain is that power. You gain that strength to walk through and to deal with them. And it can take time, and it can be horrible. There's no fluffy way through this. It can be really hard to sit with those feelings, but nothing is as hard as running from them. And this is from someone who's a prize A candidate for running from things. Nothing is as hard as the feeling when you're running from something you have to deal with, but you are too scared, and so you're finding ways through. When you actually sit with that emotion, it is absolutely freeing. So yeah, my challenge to you guys is to look at your vocabulary regarding your emotions and really give yourself the honour and give yourself the time to look at how you're feeling. And please just do this in a journal, in your magical journal, in your day-to-day journal. 3 to 5, as an example, words to go with what's going on around you at the moment, and to look a little bit deeper. Are you feeling, helpless? Are you feeling, stuck and stranded? Whatever it is, just go deeper and deeper and deeper, because there'll be a core feeling which is bringing up the rest of those emotions, and when that's looked at, you can give it love, you can give it sympathy, you can give it air to breathe, and the wonders that can do. It can be half the job of actually healing a situation when we just acknowledge it. When we just push it down, we're making it all very, very much worse. So hi Heather, hi Laura, hi Claire, hi Simeon, and Pia and more. Hello everybody. Please put, if you have any thoughts or questions or any issues you've had, I know it can be hard to sort of say these things, but any issues you've had around kind of exploring your own emotions and taking care of yourself, please do put them in the box there. But for rooted self-love, we have to be aware of what we're saying to ourselves as well. So not only what we're saying to the people about how we're feeling, and it's actually our internal dialogue, our internal language, that it's almost got to go through brain surgery, metaphorically. If we are people that can be have a huge self-critic, have a huge sense of shame or guilt, or feel that we aren't good enough in some way. And those feelings are very clever, shame and guilt, and they're very clever. They don't often go red light blowing in your face until things get really bad. They kind of creep in and out on the periphery of life. So there's this kind of undercurrent of just feeling not good enough, an undercurrent of kind of doing well, but not ever kind of pushing through. So being really aware of the vocabulary in which we are speaking to ourselves with, and that it isn't okay, how British it may feel, to say, oh, I'm always bad at this, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it. It is going to create a cycle that's very, very hard to escape. The minute we work with affirmations, we work with really journaling and being aware of our self-dialogue and taking the hard work of reprogramming it sometimes, that we're on a really clear path to moving forward. And again, this can take therapy. This is not off, or this can take a really good support group, a really good friend, someone that you can really open up to. This is really hard to do on your own. So please don't take on the world that I've got to change my whole mentality about things but on your own. Please, now, on my list, number 5 is support, finding support, and finding a support group, whether that's one person, whether that's a dear friend, or a therapist, or a support group that you can go to, because everyone's got a varying level of things that are going to be affecting them. But it's very hard to do it on our own, because we can be very caught up in our own patterns and our feelings of isolation because we feel a bit strange. So, looking at the comments here, Deborah says she has anxiety, and that's what holds her back. And we've got, yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I'm not a therapist at all, so I'm not going to go into trying to understand what everyone's got and trying to put some blanket things you can do. But with anxiety, it is really important to look at the vocabulary as well, and to look at what it is that is the triggers of the anxiety. And when you're feeling overwhelmed with anxiety, when you're feeling overwhelmed with it, to get back into your body as soon as possible. And there's a really good book, it's called CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving, by Pete Walker, and that has some really good tips about if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, how to get back into your body, how to get back into the moment. But surrounding yourself when you feel anxious with very earthy things, being in nature, eating something, smelling something, feeling the earth, doing something practical. But when you've kind of got through that space, really looking at the vocabulary and the triggers around anxiety, what it is that's triggering you, and really looking into that, again, potentially with the help of someone that's going to be there to support you, could be really, really good. Hi Kim, you're not late, it's all right. And hi Julie, hello. Please do feel free to put any questions in. Again, if you have any thoughts about all of this, please put this in. So far we've covered, for those who have just joined, the idea of emotional vocabulary, really delving into our emotions. A great way to do that as well is to free write, to free journal, to not read what you're saying, not plan what you're saying, just write. Don't look back on it. Maybe not even for a day or so, and then look back on it another time. And you get a glimpse of what's going on and what comes up. You get a glimpse of how you're programming, what's going on under the surface, what's the core feelings. But I would give yourself the honour and the time and the self-care to delve into your emotions, and not just write them as, I just feel this, I need to get over this. Because self-love and self-care is to really acknowledge and give space to every part of us. Especially, if you are someone that's probably on my page is probably a bit more spiritual, a bit more psychic or open, or into a pagan or spiritual lifestyle, generally speaking, can be very open and sensitive people. Your emotions are your superpower. Your empathy and your compassion is your superpower. In a world of freaking being squished down by trying to be numbed out and isolated, it's like to acknowledge that your feelings are worthy of time and space and love is your superpower that is going to really start changing the tide. So I think hypersensitive people, empathic people, creative people, very deeply emotional people that care very, very deeply, it's a superpower, but it can be taken advantage of by people, and it's really good to get working with boundaries. Again, that's in the list as well. Oh, thank you, Kim. Yeah, this the painting, can't even point in the right direction, so it's beautiful. Thank you. That's my heron lady, my heron woman, who is a kind of a guide that I saw and experienced when I was living out in the marshes. I sound like Gollum then, in the marshes. I was living out in the marshes near Glastonbury. Right, and also Kim says, I'm awful at caring for myself. Yeah, I think we all are. I work myself into the ground and then wonder why I feel so bad. Absolutely. The thing is, in our society, we're kind of given a gold medal for not caring about ourselves. We're given a gold medal to working ourselves into the ground and then not loving ourselves, and wonder why depression and anxiety is on the rise and people are feeling disassociative, people are feeling unhappy. So it is the reprogramming. That's what I'm saying with this video. It is the going to the core and knocking your paintings out of the way, going to the core and really lovingly reprogramming, reworking, clearing out negative patterns and kind of, you know, like a computer gets spyware and malware or bad programming in it. And it's like those bad patterns, those bad voices that tells us we're not worthy. It's like that. We need like to clear that out and make that space. And it's interesting when we do start clearing out like those negative patterns and those negative thoughts, when we start to, as long as we're doing it in a safe and good environment, it's like the energy we get back, the refreshing energy, the space we have for other things is huge. So worrying, anxiety and stress, it can take up so much space. So for you, Kim, and absolutely for all of us, we've got to put ourselves somewhere near the front of the list, if not, please, at the top of the list, even if just you are monitoring how you are giving, because again, empathetic people, psychic, spiritual, emotional, creative people, natural born givers, and that's a lovely thing, but it can't be at the expense of you know, keeping this battery filled up, keeping this beautiful vessel of awesome that is us filled with absolute glorious goodies, because we are going to be so much more beautiful and powerful and effective in this world if this vessel is filled. If it's kind of drained out and looking dehydrated and a little bit sad, you know, we're not honouring ourselves, and then we're not walking our talk. So yeah, I think some of these things I wanted to bring up today, it's sort of the beginning of tips on how to restructure. But first of all, before we restructure, we do have to empty out the crap, as it were. So that's why I was saying anything around therapy or talking to people or getting the support and putting some positive steps in our lives can be really, really important. So Heather's asking, so if you write down 3 things about your emotions and then just go into free writing, how is it? Is that how it works? It can be lovely. It can be, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I do is just my, I'd actually say with the free writing, just do it. Just find that space. Maybe you can even make it like a nice ceremony, a nice ritual, put a candle on, put some incense on, even have like dimmed lighting, because you don't have to really read what you're saying, and just start. And you start with anything. It doesn't have to be good or even feeling relevant. You could start with the word cornflakes and just go. You know, you could start with this morning and then just go. But don't analyze it, don't stop, don't say, that doesn't sound good. It's just interesting, and then you can read back later and go, oh, whoa, I can see what's going on there. I'd also have, as a separate thing, but you can combine it if you wish, but I put it as a separate thing, is just to think about how you've been feeling, and do this, you know, as often as you can, once a day, twice a day. How am I feeling? Especially when something comes up as quite strong, or you're quite uncomfortable with it, or you can feel an old anxiety or an old feeling coming back up to bite you on the bottom. The key is to acknowledge it. Go, wait a minute, this feeling, this isn't good. I don't want this, or I don't feel this is a healthy feeling that's coming in. Let me just look at this. Okay, I'm feeling anxious about this, or depressed about this, or sad about this, because it's bringing up this issue for me. And then just put 3 words about how you're feeling, but make them better than bad, good, meh. You know, as long as we look a bit deeper, we have so much literacy for so many things, but emotions for ourselves, we just push it down, and we think it's self-absorbed to give ourselves a time, which is very sad, because most of our life is our emotional reactions to things. We spend so much time emotionally dealing with stuff that if we're not even looking at it, we can see where some imbalance comes in. So, yeah. So you can combine them, Heather, absolutely, but they can be separate exercises. Free writing is fabulous for kind of just freeing the creative blocks as well. If you're having a creative block, free writing is amazing. To get past the pretentious stage when you're writing something, free writing is amazing. And also to kind of see those undercurrents of those emotions that are coming up. And then also as a separate or joint project, when you're having a feeling that is overwhelming, not comfortable, or prolonged, you know, going on for a while, even if it doesn't seem to have any specific word that naturally goes with it, explore it. Like I've had times recently been waking up feeling so heavy, like there's a massive weight on my head, and I just had to go into it and go, okay, look it in the eye. What is it? Where does it stem from? Where does it come from? Why am I feeling it? And actually you can go a little trail back to find the origins of this. And as soon as you look it in the eye, I can't promise you it will go away. It's very, but it will shift. It's like things shift when you look at them, don't they? And it can often shift, maybe uncomfortably for a little while, and then for the better. So yeah, apparently he's having some problems watching this live. Hopefully it's not my internet. Hopefully this is going okay. I hope you guys, running an antivirus scan on ourselves. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing with the computer, which is why it might be acting funny. That's why I thought about it, because I've been doing it for the computer, and my computer's been acting slow and running an antivirus scan. And also I've had like fraud on my card. So it's like, also, by not having that good sense of boundaries, by not looking after ourselves, we're opening ourselves up for people to take advantage. So running an antivirus scan on ourselves is an important thing. And so hopefully you guys can watch this okay. I'm hoping it's coming through okay. So far we've gone through emotional vocabulary in two ways: really exploring our emotions, giving names and words and descriptions to them. Like, do it like something like it's a poem. Do it as something you really love. Doesn't matter what the word is. If it sounds childish, if it sounds silly, even vulnerable, all the better. Please put it out there. And do that for any strong emotion, and do it regularly so you get into the habit of it. And maybe cultivate a practice of free writing, or at the very least journaling, so you're aware of the undercurrents that are going on in your life. It is so important. The minute we're aware of what we're telling ourselves, we have the power to be able to really shift it that little bit. So looking at the vocab, how we're talking to ourselves, affirmations as well. Affirmations are hugely powerful. What I find can be a problem with affirmations is if we're really stuck in a negative pattern, an affirmation can make us just go, I feel amazing. Don't. And you might actually get really angsty at the affirmation. So work on an affirmation that's going to be helpful. Like, I'm open to healing this situation. I'm open to wonderful opportunities to attract abundance. I am ready to start healing my life. I know I am loved. I care about myself enough to do this. Find words that you feel, okay, I can do this. Because when we use affirmations that may be like a one size fit all, we can sometimes go, yeah, I'm feeling rubbish. That's not going to work. But if we start saying things in a clever way, we find the language and the vocab that's going to be able to get through. And if we maybe put a little alarm on our phones to say 2-3 times a day, affirmation check, repeat those things to ourselves, and just do that for a few days, 30 days, see how it goes. So here we go. Oh, lovely. Hello, Freya. Mwah. Hello, Freya. Drinking a cuppa. Now, actually, I've got my cup of coffee. It's covered in lipstick. But what it says on it, it's no coward soul is mine. And that's Emily Jane Bronte. And this is my warrior's coffee. No coward soul is mine. So hello, Freya. Hello from lovely Norway. And we've got Kim says, do you have any tips on how to deal with anger in a non-destructive way? Yeah, I mean, it's my big thing as well. I am a terror with anger, and as in, I don't know how to deal with it a lot of the time. That's one of my big issues as well. I think anger is such a positive force. Only when it goes in is it destructive. You're angry. Your body is telling you something that is very useful. This is not okay. And we can have sometimes we can react, as long as we're not doing this in a violent way to other people, it isn't destructive. It is an act of self-love to go, I'm angry at this. This is not okay. And as long as we don't feel shame for it, as long as we don't push it down, as long as we don't go out on the rampage and take all our other burdens with us and attack somebody for it. So I think self-knowledge is really important when it comes to anger, knowing that anger can be clean. Anger can be, no, don't even. You stay away from me. Or, anger can be, how dare you? It's the warrior. It's the no, boundary up. But if we're not dealing with, making me laugh, my Norton is doing its background checks as I'm doing this. That's really funny. So we're talking about doing the malware check on ourselves. My computer's doing it while we're talking. So anger can be clean. It's not a negative, destructive thing. It's only destructive if we don't know our own stuff and we're being triggered by people and it's all got messed up inside. And when we get angry, it comes up in some kind of hybrid monster that attacks either us, which is usually the case, or other people. So I think being really clear and clean with ourselves, really working on understanding ourselves, being emotionally literate, working out where we're feeling, how we're feeling, what's going on. I do find exercise helps with the initial raw of anger, and also the fact that I have a real habit of flight. Like when I'm angry, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm terribly upset, I just want to run the hell away. I don't want to be here. I kind of want to vanish out my body or vanish away. I have been running, literally jogging since I was 15, and I find that that helps, like exercise. But being back in your body being in your body, kind of getting into your body, is the first key for all of these things. Knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're okay in this moment, being back in your body, and then dealing with what triggers this anger has brought for you. So what boundaries it pushed? What do you need to reassert? Anger in its clearest form is a really positive sign to say this is not okay. Something's been crossed, something's been bridged, and I need to protect, or I need to clear it away. But I think to kind of get it out of your system, being very physical, by keeping a good healthy lifestyle, like literally doing something, maybe a bit of yoga or something, or not that it solves everything, but kind of keeping physically active can help deal with anger. But it is my thing too. So I mean, any other tips you guys have? But I just feel at the core of it, anger is not a bad thing. It's just when it eats up at us and becomes this great face. I bet you the camera will freeze on me pulling that face then, won't it? It's when it becomes a monster because it's not been dealt with, and it's got wound up and tied up like a knot with so many other things. The fact that we actually felt upset by a boss last week, that somebody said something mean about us, and then we get a car park ticket, and then we just go, wah! That's when anger can be strange. So if to know that anger in its purest form is clear and it's telling you something that you need to know, is maybe a good way to start looking at it, so it doesn't become the enemy, really. If you have any more questions, please do let me know. So we're talking about emotional literacy, we're talking about how we talk to ourselves, so we've been through that, and if you have any issues or questions about any of that, please do ask. It's interesting because the next thing I have on my list is, I've got loads, so I don't know how long I've been going on for, about half an hour. I'll go on for a bit longer because I do, but I've got literally 7 things on my list. I'm on one with a bit of a deviation into anger stuff. So my second one was spiritual bypassing. I'm talking about this because I have been guilty of all of this. Can I just say it? Not knowingly, of course, but just being someone that works in a very spiritual way, that I try to see the spiritual side of stuff and try to look at okay, how do we heal this? It's part of my running away from things, my flight tendency is to go into spiritual, well, why do they do this, or why is this? Let's look at the spiritual reason. Let's look at what lesson. People give us lessons, but actually it isn't always healthy when in the moment to someone saying, well, there's lessons going on, and you're being taught this, and actually that'll be good about 6 months later, a year later, 10 years later. That's good when the emotional energy has expended itself, and you can go, oh yeah, that person taught me this, and that they came in my life because of this. When you're in the middle of something, it's just it's possibly not always that helpful. So spiritual bypassing is a huge thing that I've done quite hugely and quite strongly, that it's a way to avoid sitting with the fact that things freaking hurt, and that people aren't always great, and I'm not always great, and it's not always wonderful, and that we are also divine and amazing and wonderful beings, and we're all souls, and we're all divine and gorgeous, but sometimes people's behaviour is abhorrent, it's cruel, it's not right. And we need to go, you as a soul, you're okay, yeah, I love you as a soul, but I'm getting over here because I love myself enough to get away from this situation. I'm not going to go, but are we kind of soulmates and I have to do this? Or, on a soul level, do I need to forgive this? But 10 months later, work that out. Right now, self-care, you're angry, you're hurt, you're feeling poo. It's okay to meditate on it. It's okay to go and get some healing. It's okay to do all this stuff, but we need to sit here and do the first things. This hurts. I'm feeling this. I've got to allow these emotions to come up, and they're messy and they're ugly and they don't look good on a yoga mat, but they're real and they're me, and they need to be honoured. So I'm really good at spiritual bypassing, and it's something I have to watch, because also it's a little bit of, it can be quite snobby, can't it? Going, oh, I know, but I'm better. It's also saying I'm better than this in some way. Not, isn't it? Oh, I'm better. No, I'm really not. I feel terrible. So, yeah, so spiritual bypassing. I'm not saying don't take the spiritual route, but go to the root emotionally. Go to sit with it. Look at that, whatever it is in the eye. Look at it. Be there. Take that unhappy moment to go, okay, this is how it is. This isn't great. And then do some honest work for the healing and know the spiritual side for it. But I find sometimes that when I go for the spiritual side, it's opening myself up to more abuse in some ways, because I'm saying spiritually it's okay. Well, actually, personally, it's not. So boundaries, that's encompassed one of the ones as well. So if spiritual bypassing, I think, is very, very common, especially nowadays. We have so many amazing opportunities to learn so many different things, but they can all be ways of escaping what's going on. So we're here in a human body, we're here with amazing human emotions and experiences and an amazing mind. Let's be with it, let's feel it, let's sit in that moment and really honour the experience. You're honouring you, you're honouring the moment, you're honouring the experience, good or bad, by being with it. And if it takes you 2-3 months or 2-3 years to get to this point, like, I realise I've been spiritually bypassing a lot of stuff for quite a long time without even realising it. And it's tempting. It is very tempting to go into up there, into I'm higher than high, but I've got to get down here and do the dirty work. I've got to clean the floor, got to rebuild, got to create some structure, and then build it in a very sovereign and sacred way, so that my spiritual life is really supporting me, not allowing me to escape things and not deal with them. So, yeah, if you have any questions, like, I think spiritual bypassing is an interesting one. And I remember when someone said to me, Laura, I think you're spiritual bypassing. I was like, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yeah. When you're saying, well, they did that because A, B, and C, and I feel they've been through this, bypassing. How do you feel? Actually, you feel betrayed. That's what you need to know right now. Later, we can look at how they felt or what they did, but we need to be right here with how we feel. And then it's dealt with. Then we don't get some weird passive-aggressive stuff coming up later. Then we don't get this whole fire coming up from nowhere, like Kim was saying, this anger that, and I said that, it can get quite mutated because we've not allowed ourselves to experience things. So just be aware when you or I go, well, that's happened, but I'm going to meditate on it, and I feel it's happened emotionally or spiritually because of this reason, that maybe we're just trying to escape the moment and we don't want to deal with what's gone on. And that we can get so much wealth from looking at things spiritually. We can get so much wealth from going on a soul level. This is why this happened. But potentially after we've been through the mill of emotions around it. That's when you can get some real riches from it, when you can look at back afterwards and say, okay, that's why that happened. And I can learn from that. But at the time, we just got to feel it. Know that you're supported spiritually. Know that your guides or your, whatever you believe in are there to support you. But be with it. If you feel yourself just going, or trying to escape something, it's like getting back and facing it straight on. And again, any questions on this, please do put your questions out there. Any thoughts about this, please put your questions out there. I'm not saying doing things in a spiritual manner is bad. Of course I'm not. It's what I do. But if we're running away from things by putting a spiritual slant on it, it can just create more problems than it deals. And it takes a lot longer to heal stuff. Take it from one who's done it. So yeah, spiritual bypassing is something I really wanted to look at as well. I'm going to go to one more thing. I know I've been on air for 38 minutes, so I'll try and maybe go on for one more on the list. But if you have any questions, please, about self-care, about anything we've spoken about so far, about really looking at our emotions, discovering what they actually are, where they're coming from, putting words to them and feelings to them, and also looking at affirmations and spiritual bypassing, all that kind of thing, please do ask. Now, also as well, what's this to do with, maybe you might be thinking, what's this to do with sort of paganism or witchcraft or magic or spirituality? Everything, because that's really a holistic person when it comes to looking at things magically. It's about the whole of us. But if people come and they ask for readings, or particularly more, they want to do spells for certain things. I don't really do spells very often anymore. I do sometimes, but I kind of just try and be a bit different nowadays. But I do spells sometimes, but sometimes people want to do spells. If you're coming from a place who haven't dealt with all of this stuff, it's either not going to work or it's going to come back at you in a very strange way. And I think everyone on a spiritual journey knows that whatever path they're on, whatever deity or tribe they belong to, the lessons keep coming back, and they come back stronger and stronger, and sometimes harder and harder, until we actually listen, until we're kind of on the floor sometimes going, you know, why is this happening? Because we weren't listening, because we weren't doing the work, because we were avoiding it. So that's why, on a more spiritual level, on a kind of my witchy channel, that's why I want to talk about this. What I want to talk about? There's a lot on this list. I'd say the next one I want to talk about is sovereignty. I'll do one more and then I will honestly close. But please do, if you have any questions, please ask. So sovereignty is something that I wanted to say about self-care, deep-rooted self-care, is knowing yourself and really listening to what is right for you. And we need to kind of do a couple of the first few things first, because if it's all messy, and as we were saying, like the sort of the emotional spyware, malware, computer virus is going on within us, it can be hard for us to know what is right for us. But deep down, there's a voice which generally has a pull. Someone asked me yesterday, they said they wanted to do something, but all their friends and family were saying, don't do it. And it was just upsetting this person because they wanted to make this decision. They felt it was right for them. And sometimes when we're totally out of control, when we're in a really bad way, our friends and family can know better. They can. But it doesn't mean we have to listen. Sometimes we have to go through it our own way. But as a whole, there's a voice deep down which knows what feels right for us. And listening to that voice is sovereignty. And being aware of that voice is sovereignty. I'm aware that the computer's freezing a bit, so I hope it's working. So sovereignty is knowing, beyond knowing, what that inner voice, what that inner truth to you is saying. And it may not always lead you on the easiest path, but it is something, you know, this life you have to follow. So in this reading I did, this lady who everyone with her family was saying, no, don't do this. It seemed to be more because they were scared of her changing. They were scared of her maybe opening up to be hurt, but they didn't want her to change. They wanted her to stay the same. And it's very reassuring when people stay the same. It can be quite disconcerting when people change and shift and move forward. So sometimes people's advice of what they think we should do is coming from a loving place, but it's not much to do with what's going on with us. So sovereignty is knowing beyond knowing what is you, what is right for you in this moment, what is your next step, what feels right, and having the authority in your life to start manifesting that and start speaking that truth kindly, strongly, just really saying, I know you're all saying this, but for me, I need to do this right now. And then for later to say, actually, I was wrong. Whatever, that's fine. But having the strength to say, right now, I need to, this is me. And you guys have all think, you know, I love your advice, I love your love, but this is me. And having the sovereignty to say, I'm going to do this. And actually even doing the work for self-care, for deep-rooted self-care and self-love, is being true to your sovereign self. It is coming back to you in the moment and listening to your soul, your body, your heart, your head, which is crying out to be heard in so many different ways. Maybe you've headaches, anxiety, twitches, exhaustion, just feeling low and icky. Your body and your soul is crying out to be listened to. So having the sovereignty is coming back into your body and saying, into your soul and going, okay, I'm listening. What are we going to do? You know, what feels right at this time? What feels right for me? Not what they want from me, not what I'm worried might happen. What feels right for me at this time? And start putting in the work to make it happen. I am going on forever, I know. I can feel it going on. I'm sorry about going on so much, but I get a bit passionate about this. So sovereignty, level one, like the level one of sovereignty is listening. It's not going out there saying, I'm a warrior, check me out. It's listening to you, your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, your inner drive and where it's taking you, what's blocking you. That's level one of sovereignty, to have rulership, to take ownership of yourself. And of course, take advice. Of course, listen to others, but only really go on it if it actually is feeling really right for you. And again, I'm going to intersect with, you know, I'm going to intersect with. If we need to go to a counsellor, to a doctor, to do this, please, please, please do. It is amazingly helpful. It can open lots of doors. It can open paths to seeing things in new ways. So sovereignty is listening to you, is being aware of the vocabulary, the dialogue and the emotion that's going on. Also, before I go, I've got so much more. So there'll be more of this because there's so much more on my list. Is self-care, self-love is the bath, is the facial treatment, is the nice pamper time, is watching a nice video with a hot chocolate. It's also making the appointment to the bank manager. It's also getting your taxes done. It's also replying to those emails. It's doing the things. It's, for me, it's putting that when I don't feel like exercising, it's saying no. And this is my routine. I'm going to go out and do this run. I'm going to make a plan and stick to it. And self-love and self-care is doing these things and putting them into practice. And they're the icky things that you don't really want to do, but you know it needs doing, and they build up. So self-care, self-love is getting all of these things at least addressed. And then self-care and self-love is saying, you know what, I've done enough for today. I'm going to be really gentle with myself. I've done one thing on the list. I've made that appointment. I'm going to really look after myself now and be really honoured and pleased and grateful that I've taken those steps. And it's knowing that some days I'm too exhausted to go for a run or whatever. So that's okay. So it's the balance. That's where sovereignty comes in. Self-care and self-love is that balance of getting that structure in that's going to support you and help you thrive. That's the important thing. But having the compassion, the self-compassion to say, I need a hug today. I need a sofa blankie day. I'm going to cuddle the cats. I've done a bit to do it, but I just need to go away. So it's just that balance within yourself and doing the right thing. And that's it, because it's something that's not so much talked about. But I know Verity wrote a lovely blog about this, about the not so much side talked about self-love is going to make that appointment that you don't want to make. And it's facing things head on, isn't it? Going, okay, this situation's going on. I'm going to face it. It is kind of putting your health first. It is maybe putting those boundaries in that you need to with people that are draining. So I'm going to leave it with one more thought, and then I'm totally going to go because I know I've been going on for quite a while. Procrastination is my middle name. Oh yeah, any more thoughts or questions? Anything you want to ask or say before I do go? Do feel free. Procrastination is, yeah. What I was saying the other day with procrastination as well is just doing one little thing to step towards a goal. So if you're procrastinating about a certain thing you really want to do or don't want to do, it's taking one step towards it. It's usually in our head is where the biggest, the biggest block resides. One thing I say is support. That's the last thing. Find support, whether that be in a book you're reading, in a video you're watching, with a group you're joining. Be honest, maybe find a friend that you can trust and say, actually, I know I've been saying I'm okay, but I've actually been feeling this. So find someone you can be really, it's part of owning up the emotions, isn't it? Just maybe talking to someone a really trusted friend. This is how I've been feeling, actually. And getting that support. You probably find they've been feeling similar, I think, or that they've been through similar. Again, if it is more serious, or if it's a longer issue, please do find the time to get professional help. Okay, that's the warrior work, saying, you know what, I think I really need to look at this. Get the support, talk to people, and be kind to you. Give yourself the space and the time to honour those feelings. The whole thing of this is self-kindness. The whole bubble around this, from being kind to you to giving your emotions an air, a voice to breathe, from setting in some healthy structures for you. So much kindness and self-compassion in this. You're freeing up so much space. I'm just thinking about my computer now doing its blooming spyware thing and making space. You're doing the same for you. You're able to work so much more effectively and so much more lovingly. If all this, mangled up stuff that has pushed down rejected emotions are looked at, are given a bit of time, but don't do too much in one go as well. That's another thing. Don't do too much in one go. Just do as much as you can, give yourself a break. Watch something lovely, watch some cats do something. Give yourself a break if you need to. So I could go on for ages, but support is very, very important. Know that you're not alone with this, because I think when you're feeling crap, ongoingly crap or whatever, we have a tendency to isolate ourselves. I'm weird. I'm feeling this strange emotion, and, you know, and we isolate ourselves because it might feel too hard, or we may feel not trustful of people because we've been through a lot. Isolation can be useful for a time, just to get some space, but it really, reach out. There's people there that will be there to support you, that understand. People understand more than you think, I think. And that if you're just saying, hey, I'm going through this, I could just do with, can you listen to me? Can you hold this for me? And you'll be surprised that I reckon there are some good people in your life already that were just waiting for you to open up to them. But yeah, join a group if you need to, or get some advice, find out from books and videos and professionals what you can do. But really do give yourself the space to be supported in this discovery, in this journey, because we're here in this life. It's really good to explore what we're actually doing, what's going on, what we're feeling. And hello there, Mandy. Hello. So oh yeah, my last one was love. I've got a lot of love there. Yeah, love. Feel that vessel. You know, I mentioned earlier, that vessel that is us. Make sure every day you're filling or refueling with something really beautiful. That vessel that is you. If it needs clearing out first, clear it out. Clear out the rubbish. Clear out the manky feelings we have. And then give it a good clean and fill it with so much love. Fill it with positive words. Fill it with healthy lifestyle choices and a few treats. And just make sure that you're filling this vessel that is you with all the good things. There is so much more I want to say. I am going to go because I've been going on for almost an hour. And what I'm going to do is this will be on playback on my Facebook. And if you want to put any questions or anything you'd like to be looked at, I will do that another time. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was working okay. And I hope it made sense. And I'm sending you so much love. Remember, the things that are important today are rooted self-love. Go to the depth of who you are, your emotions, your reactions. Explore them. Really put 3 to 5 words to each kind of feeling you have. And free journal. If you're struggling to kind of get to the heart of you, free journal. Write this. Get more literate with your emotions. I'm going to put some links up about other people's sites to go to for great resources too. And also spiritual bypassing. Yeah, we can go for that another day as well. Just, yeah, give yourself the time and the honour and the love. Make sure you do. Thank you for watching. Big hugs. This video will be on replay, etc., etc. And I will see you all soon. Bye.